Can you explain to the jurors what is an autopsy?
Yes, an autopsy is a tool by which we examine the whole body in an effort to determine cause of death. And it's comprised of two parts: an external examination, where we look for identifying characteristics such as height and weight, evidence of medical therapy, and evidence of trauma and disease. We may take evidence as appropriate, and then we turn to the internal examination, making surgical-like incisions and examining each of the internal organs, again looking for evidence of trauma and disease, and taking additional samples for other tests such as toxicology.
Now, I want to direct your attention to January 29th, 2023. Did you perform an autopsy on Callan Patrick Clancy?
I did.
And when you performed this autopsy, did you follow the procedure you just described, where you did an external examination and then an internal examination?
Yes.
And can you tell us what your initial observations were of Callan when you started the external examination?
Yes. So Callan had some therapeutic procedures in place, or therapeutic equipment in place, including a thermometer in the left nostril, a nasogastric tube in the right, an endotracheal tube down the throat, a Foley catheter draining urine, intravascular catheters in the right hand and right wrist, and an intravascular catheter in the left foot. There was some adhesive residue, possibly from other therapeutic procedures as well, on his chest. And there are additional needle marks that I saw on his body. In general, should I keep going? Or?
Well, what were your general observations?
In general, he was, we measured him at 26 inches long and 24 pounds. He had general edema, and those are the general.
So when you were talking about therapeutic things, are those things that were done by a medical provider at a hospital or some such setting?
Correct.
Okay. And what do you mean when you say he had general edema?
It means that he had his whole body had more fluid than one would expect in a person or an 8-month-old who had not been in the hospital. It's very common for someone coming from the hospital to have had been given fluids such that they have excess fluid and swelling.
Did you make observations of any injuries or trauma to Callan?
Yes.
Okay. If we could have photo 9960.
Hold on, let me just, members of the jury, I just want to give you, kind of revisit that instruction that I talked to you last week about. If you may remember, we talked about before they played that tape. All right. I just want to remind you that sometimes evidence is presented in the trial that creates emotional reactions. But as jurors who've taken an oath to follow the law, I'm instructing you, as I did last week, that you must separate any emotional reaction on your part from the informational value and the weight from the evidence. You must not be influenced in any way by the unpleasant nature of the photographs and testimony that you're going to hear this morning or throughout the whole trial as well. So you must find the facts in this case based only on the evidence. But you can't find those facts or base those facts on sympathy, anger, passion, prejudice, or pity against either side. So I appreciate that. I just kind of wanted to remind you of that. And with that, come on.
Thank you, Your Honor. So photo 9960. Is that on the screen, Doctor?
Not yet. Yes. Okay, thank you.
If you could just describe for us what we're seeing here in this photo.
So this is a photograph of Callan at the time of autopsy, and I'm showing a ruler underneath his neck, where above which you can see abrasions, and you can also see some needle marks that I mentioned from therapeutic procedures on his arm.
I'm sorry, if you could use the tool, pressing the top button there, just to highlight the area you're talking about, the abrasions on the neck.
Right here on his right side of his neck, and then in the middle of the neck, and on the left side of the neck.
And if we could now have photograph 663. If you could tell us what we're seeing here in this photograph, Doctor.
This is another photograph showing a bit more closely, again, the abrasions of the neck. There's one on the front of the neck, the shorter one that's about half an inch long by 1/16 inch. For those more familiar with the metric system, a centimeter is 2.5 centimeters is about an inch. 1/16 of an inch is about 1.5 millimeters. So this is half an inch by 1/16 inch, and then on the right here, this is about 1.5 inches by 1/16 inch.
And then showing 9952.
May I go back to that for 1 second?
Go back.
For one.
Could we go back to that photo, please? 9960. I'm sorry, 663.
I just want to point out between the ruler and the abrasions, you can see a paler line. That's a normal infant neck fold. That's not a injury.
Thank you. And 9952, please. If you could just point out for us here the injuries of significance to you.
Here, sorry, I think I did that.
We could go back to the prior photo, please.
I got it.
It's the top button.
Yep. Okay, so these again are the abrasions on the left side of his neck, and there's the one on the front of his neck. In addition, on the left side of his forehead is a 3/16 inch by 1/16 inch abrasion, and I think you can also begin to see petechial hemorrhages, which are dot-like hemorrhages underneath the skin on the face.
And what are petechial hemorrhages?
Petechial hemorrhages occur when there is rupture of the small blood vessels underneath the skin surface, and they are from an overpressure of the small blood vessels such as capillaries or venules, and blood escapes out and makes a dot-like hemorrhage.
We could have photo 9954. If you could explain for us what we're seeing in this photograph, please.
In this photograph is Callan's right side, also showing the back of his neck. So that abrasion that could be seen in the first photo showing the front of his neck, that abrasion continues along about 3 inches in all toward the right posterior or back of the neck.
And if we could have photo 9955, please. Is this a close-up photograph of what you just described?
Yes, I can show that right here.
Thank you. Could we have photo 636, please? And if you could describe for us what you see here in this photo, Doctor.
First the abrasion is in poor focus, but it's in the picture on the left side of the photograph, and then the most in the photograph, one can see those petechial hemorrhages better along the cheek, on the eyelid, all of those.
We could have photo 654, please. Can you describe what we're seeing in this photograph, doctor?
Yes, this is an abrasion near the hairline on the right side of the forehead, and that is up here. That is about 3/8 by 1/8 inch.
And then photo 656, please. Can you describe what we're seeing in this photo here, doctor?
This is looking at the top of Callan's head, and on the top right part of his head toward the front, near the forehead, is a 1/8 by 1/16 inch abrasion.
And then photo 657, please. You can describe what we're seeing here, doctor?
This is the abrasion on the left side of his forehead with a ruler this time. In addition, the petechiae are also in pretty good focus on this.
And then photograph 9916. If you can describe for us what we're seeing in this photograph, please.
So these are some of the, I forgot to mention at the very beginning, there's a intravascular catheter in the right groin. This is Callan before we took off his medical therapy, and it shows some of the needle marks that he had. So on this is his right lower extremity. This is a look of an intraosseous catheter attempt with a central puncture mark and a round abrasion around it. And then here's the right groin line and the left foot line.
And if we could have photograph 9917. Are we seeing the same thing here on the left leg, those same IO attempt marks?
Exactly, yes.
Thank you. Doctor, are you able to date the wounds to the head, the abrasions and marks on the head? Are you able to say when those got there or how long they'd been there?
I can't precisely, but they have signs of healing in the form of scabbing.
And would that indicate that they weren't fresh wounds that happened the day you saw him or the day prior?
Correct.
In terms of the marks around Callan's neck and the petechiae around his eyes and face, did that give you an indication here of the mechanism of death for Callan?
Yes.
And how so?
So it is consistent with a ligature strangulation, given that the abrasions are linear around his neck and there are petechial hemorrhages above those lines of abrasion.
And how is it that when someone is strangled with a ligature, that causes petechiae in the face and eyes?
So what happens is that the blood vessels that supply blood to the neck are compressed. And so there are jugular veins, which are a lower pressure system, and the carotid arteries, which are a somewhat higher pressure system. And so as the vessels are compressed, if there is a backup of blood in the head, there can be an increased pressure in those small blood vessels that I mentioned, and they can rupture, causing the petechiae.
But basically, is it similar to a balloon filling up, but it's not air, it's blood and pressure in the face?
Yes.
And so when that pressure gets too great, is it that the capillaries are basically bursting and causing those little red marks?
Yes. Most texts say capillaries, some say venules, the small blood vessels.
And how is it that this process, the strangulation by ligature, causes death physically? How does it physically happen?
So the blockage of blood, either both to and from the head or just from the head, will cause a lack of oxygen to arrive at the brain, and there can be an element of airway compression as well, such that the lungs can't oxygenate properly. So that lack of oxygen is what causes the brain to die and the organs to fail.
And based on your examination of Callan, did you come to a determination based on your training and experience to a reasonable degree of medical certainty as to the cause of his death?
Yes.
And what was that?
Complications of mechanical asphyxia.
And why is it complications of mechanical asphyxia instead of just the asphyxia itself?
Because he was resuscitated, and so his heart began to beat again. So from the 24th to the 27th, there was a continuation of support of his organs to in the hospital. And so if he had a stopped heart at the scene, and in that case I would have just said mechanical asphyxia, but since there was a 3-day hospital stay, I said complications of mechanical asphyxia.
So the word complications doesn't mean that something happened at the hospital to cause his death. It's just that the strangulation caused his death, but he didn't die for a few days.
Correct.
Commonwealth would move to submit the autopsy photos as the next exhibit.
Same objection. Same objection. They may be admitted.
Commonwealth would move to submit the death certificate of Callan Clancy as the next exhibit.
No objection. That may be admitted.
I have nothing further.
Counsel? No, thank you. All right. Thank you. You may step down, Doctor.
Thank you.
All right, Counsel, can I see just briefly?